What's up, world? And welcome to the All Real Show. This is where we discuss issues pertaining to the socioeconomic system and how they relate to everything. Why and how are the fundamental questions. Answer them enough, you get to the truth. I'm your host, Alex, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Deb, for being on the show and taking so much of your time being with us, for fighting the right fight and being brave enough to speak up, speak out, and speak the truth. And be real. So how about we start this episode with you telling us some thoughts about what you think this true change we're seeking might look like or entail.
You know, the fact of the matter is that this is going to be a long battle. And, you know, I don't know anybody who thinks we're going to get on the streets one day and walk off the streets that night and everything's going to be good. That just is not the real world.
Right.
And, you know, I have friends who say, you know, some of these people, I'm 66 next month. I get friends who are, you know, closer to 70, and they say to me, you know what? We're never going to see any of this in our lifetime, even if we work at it. I just want to relax and enjoy what time I have left. That's fine if that's what you want to do. I can't take that tack. I'm not that way.
Right.
You know, I have two kids, as I said before, 18 and 23. They're the reason why I'm doing this in large part.
Right.
But you know what? I'm doing this because there's a whole lot of people out there. And there's 325 million people in this country. We don't need everybody.
Exactly.
If we could just get 3 to 5% of the people to actually make a stand here, we can start to think about real change happening. But until they fear us, that is never happening. It is never happening.
You're exactly right.
And the bottom line is this. People think that just if you're quiet and obedient, right, you're safer than actually putting yourself at risk on the streets, because there is risk anytime you do that. But the fact of the matter is, we're quiet and we're complacent now.
Right.
What are they doing? They're poisoning our food. They're freaking spraying our skies. You know, the medical industry is the biggest business in America. I urge everybody. I couldn't watch this video until after my sister passed because it would have been too hard for me. There's a video out there about cancer called Cut, Poison, and Burn. I urge everybody to watch that.
Cut, Poison, and Burn. Okay.
Cut, Poison, and Burn. There's a video out there about Monsanto that was made by a woman who was actually a whistleblower who was the first to expose Monsanto.
Gilliam?
The video is called The World According to Monsanto. You can find that on that free documentary channel.
Do you know which the website is, the documentary thing?
It's freedocumentary.com, I believe. I believe that's the website.
Okay.
But you can go on there. They have all kinds of documentaries. But the World According to Monsanto, I can't remember her last name. Her first name is Marie. She is, in my opinion, the woman who first exposed Monsanto for what it was. And not just because of glyphosate, but because of the way they victimize farmers across the globe.
Right.
With their seed patents.
Exactly.
And literally set about to put small farmers out of business. Reality is that Monsanto is a chemical company that rebranded itself as an agriculture company. That's exactly what it is.
100%, Deb. You got it. That's it.
And by the way, Monsanto has had a revolving door with the FDA for a long time. And also under Obama. Mm-hmm. You know, they come in, they become head of the FDA, everything gets passed, they go back to work at Monsanto. It's been documented. It has happened a number of times, and not just with Monsanto, but other companies who have regulations at stake.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and that's the reality. Again, the guise that's put up of, you know, this is the EPA or this is this organization that's helping the people, but you know, the way the system works, you know, businesses cooperate with each other. And so if I'm in, you know, say the EPA, and I'm one of these people I'm going to be dealing with these people all the time because this is who they have to deal with. So for business reasons and personal reasons, they build, relationships with these people. You know, again, when you kind of think about it like that. That's the reality of the way things work. And of course, money being everything, it's very easy to see. Well, of course, the EPA or whoever these entities are that's supposed to be protecting us and looking out for, to say they don't care as a whole, no, not necessarily. But the people who they buddy with or partnered or paid off or whatever, they're the ones that pass down the memo. That's another thing.
Right.
Again, that I think it's important for people to really get and understand is a lot of times people think it has to be a conspiracy, right? Like they have to, well, it's a whole organization, What is everybody? No, it's very, very simple. And I'll tell you how. Again, what happens when you go to work? You do your job. That's famous last words. Everybody's doing their job.
Right.
It's like I say, do you think an assassin, when he shoots somebody, what do you think he says? I just doing my job. That's what everybody does. That's the point. So no, you don't have to have a conspiracy. It's very simple. All you have to do is the owners say anything. Take Ace. Okay. Yeah, they're independent franchises, but there's a parent organization there.
Right.
That maybe says you're going to push this product or you're going to do this or yeah, we'll compensate you, sure, but you're going to push it and you're going to sell it. Or we'll give you a little reward. Right. We'll give you an extra treat if you sell enough of it or something to that effect.
Right. Or how about this? We're not going to carry, we don't carry GE light bulbs anymore. We switched to Westinghouse. That's what Ace is not going to sell GE anymore. They're going to sell Westinghouse, so that's what we do. That's the way it works. And we have customers who say, really, you're not going to carry GE anymore? And we say, unfortunately, no, we're an Ace, and Ace isn't carrying them anymore. It's just, it's the way it works.
Exactly. It's the way it works, and that's the point. Everybody's doing their job, from you and everybody else at your store to the people in these regulatory bodies like EPA and whatnot.
Right.
They're doing their job. So you only need a couple people, a handful of people. They're the ones at the top, the president, the owners, the CEOs, who actually make the decision. And, generally the biggest stockholders or stakeholders, they're the ones who make the decision. So, in other words, like with the light bulb, it doesn't matter. See, people think, well, again, I don't want to group people, but a lot of times people will look at things like, well, it must be more efficient or it must be a better product or this or that. No, what it is this company is paying them more. So they said, okay, well, GE, make your best offer. Oh, you didn't match it. Okay, fuck you. Out with the old, and you put this light bulb in. It doesn't matter if it's more efficient or more environmentally friendly or whatever. That's how things work in the market system.
Yeah, it's based on profit level. That's based on profit margin.
100%.
And again, I can't say enough how we're not safer by being quiet and complacent. In fact, that's what's got us here, honestly. Right. So I know people are afraid. I know people are afraid to be on the street. But I really do believe that. I'm willing to take that risk out there, and I'm old. Right. All right, so I'm willing to do that. I get it that it's scary because, let's face it. In our history, we've done it sporadically. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. It's for us, like. When we look back at the 60s now, it seems like ancient history to us. It really isn't, but it seems like that. But and I say to people all the time, these are people who did this without telephones, without the internet, and somehow they managed to mobilize it. And this is what I tell people. Our goal here, we use Facebook to disseminate information and to share ideas, but we're not building a revolution on Facebook. We're trying to get people to branch out in their cities and towns and start talking to people about Ungovernables 2020. I went out in the cold yesterday to parking garages with one of my friends, and we just, put them all over cars. I said, for lack of people aren't out in the street these days, like it's freezing out here in Massachusetts, so we'll just start seating cars, and when it gets warmer, we'll get back out in the street again. But that's the way it's done, is by getting a bunch of people together and saying, okay, you live in Michigan. Maybe you can talk to people in your area. You live in Florida. Maybe you can talk to people in Daytona. But we need to get that pollination going. And it needs to be not just on social media. We need both But we need people to go out to farmers markets this summer and hand out flyers. That's what I did last summer, Just we need people to get out there and start, some people haven't been engaged. Some people aren't on Facebook. Everybody thinks the whole universe is on Facebook. Listen, there are 210 million people from the United States on Facebook the last time I looked. You can't believe that if you post something even 5 times, you're reaching that amount of people. You're not.
Right.
Your audience is much smaller than you think when you post something.
Oh, yeah. And almost a flip side or whatever to that is there's so much now. There's so much stimulus and entertainment and things out there, kind of like you were saying earlier about people reposting stupid shit. So it's not like, now granted, people may follow you or truth speakers and motivators and those types of things, but there's so much distraction, that when you're in the ring, aka faceplant of, these types of things, there's so much going on. A lot of times people don't pay attention to things because, unless it's like you said, a cute fucking funny meme or something that grabs their attention,
right.
Because it's like a sensory overload. So everything it's great. It's for what it is and those types of things. And it can be a great communicative tool. And definitely, maybe not at the start of the internet. There was all kinds of, people used to joke, well, I read it on the internet, so it's got to be true, But now more and more, the real information is out there. And it's there if you want to see it. So you have the option to sit down and watch a fucking cat video on YouTube. You got the option to sit down and talk shit on Facebook, or you have the option to sit down and actually learn something. Or research what you care about or what you're complaining about or these types of things. The truth and the information is out there. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice.
Exactly.
I almost forgot, Deb. We're so engrossed in this conversation and whatnot. There's a new segment on the show that I wanted to start, and I wanted to start it with you. So I wanted you to be the inaugural participant of this portion of the show here.
Okay.
So without further ado,
get on with the ceremony.
And that sound means it's time for the Curious Five. And what this is a new segment on the show we're going to be doing. And it's basically just Curious Five. It's 5 general questions, just kind of to get to know you a little bit better on, I guess, personal level. So the first question is, what is your favorite or least favorite accent?
My favorite or least favorite accent? I would have to say my own. I have a very pronounced Boston accent.
You do.
I do. And you know what? I never realize it until I listen to myself speak.
Right.
And it drives me insane. But people always say, oh, you're from Boston. I say, I am. I have to admit it.
It's definitely a definitive accent. It's,
Right.
So you would say that's your least favorite is just the Boston?
I have to say my own, only because I hate hearing myself. I really do. It bothers me. I've been here all my life, so it's not about to change.
Right.
But, I think it doesn't bother me until I actually watch a video. Then it bothers me. That's when it bothers me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hearing your own voice back it takes some getting used to, right?
Right. I was actually watching that Linda Ronstadt documentary, because she's like one of my all-time favorites. I was watching that the other night, and she said she hates hearing herself sing. And I said to myself, how could you possibly hate hearing yourself sing when you sound that good? But she does, and I guess I could identify with that,
Yeah. Well, in general, we're always our hardest critic usually. And,
right.
But it's odd to hear yourself back. And so that would be your least favorite. Do you have a favorite accent or not really?
Yeah. I love French accents.
Really? Yeah.
I do.
Oui,
I do.
oui.
I do. Yeah, oui. I've been a sucker for the French. I took 7 years of French in Catholic school. I can't speak a lick of it because it's been a long time, but I can still read it. But Catholic school, the big language for us was French, not Spanish, but French. They made us toe the line on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Why was French the only one they taught you?
No, we also were treated to Latin. That was the other one we got.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
Talk about going backwards.
I kept saying to I kept saying to the nuns, who actually speaks this today?
Exactly.
And the reason that what I really, have to impress upon you is when I was young, the whole Catholic Mass was still said in Latin. And that's why they taught you Latin.
Right.
That was what it was. So you were expected to follow the Mass that way.
I got you. Well, I figured it was something based on the origin of, religion, language, or whatever, because obviously a lot of our language is derived from Latin.
Right.
And these are easy, by the way, so I'm not going to get the hard hitting, I don't want to answer that personal questions, We're going to go easy on you on this first one, but all
right.
So the second one is, what's your favorite food or cuisine?
My favorite cuisine. I am a big fan of tapas. I love going to, there's a restaurant that here in the Boston area. I love Spanish food. I like anything that's spicy. But I'd have to say my favorite restaurant is a place called Dali in Cambridge here, and they have the best tapas I have ever eaten. I love all of that stuff.
Now I'm gonna really pull out my ignorance. What the hell is tapas?
Tapas is what is they call it the little dishes of Spain. That's what it's called.
Okay.
So when you go to this restaurant, you might get, some kind of, steak dish, right? That they cook spicy, and you get enough just for 2 people. So if you're going out with a friend, you may order 7 or 8 things off the menu. And it's basically just a sampling.
Oh, I see.
Of everything that they cook. And there's basically restaurants that just serve food that way.
I really like that
cool
concept because I'm always been the type that I like that. I like variety. I don't like to just eat, a steak. I want the potatoes.
Right.
I want the vegetables. I want and I know that's very American, but any food in general, I like the variety of it. And
right. And now they do that in some Greek restaurants too. In Greek, it's called meze, M-E-Z-E.
Oh, okay.
That's what their little dishes are called. So you can get that in a couple of cultures. That's a big thing, to serve small portions of a lot of different things. It's pretty neat.
It's very neat. I like that. Is it like main sort of dishes just in smaller portions, or is it actually different dishes as well? It's different dishes.
Oh, okay. So in other words, you might get one that's steak, right? And then they have the one that's really delicious is they have dates, and they're wrapped in bacon and baked. And, so you can get a little dish like that. Some of them are, octopus. You can get octopus. But it gives you an opportunity maybe to try stuff that you never tried before, and, not get a lot of it and not spend a lot on it.
Exactly.
So it's kind of it's a good way to experiment with a menu.
It's a great way. And I mean, as simple as it sounds, I be honest, I'm such a deep thinker overall that sometimes the smaller things kind of miss me, and just hearing that, I'm like, wow, that's actually, I'm sure it's been around a while, but I really like that idea. That appeals to me a lot more than just ordering a big ass heaping plate of something, of the same thing.
Right. I'll tell you what, that's my favorite place to go on New Year's Eve, and I'll tell you why. When you go to other restaurants, you usually, the menu that had maybe 20 things on it, all of a sudden on New Year's Eve, you have a choice of 3 things: a fish, a meat, or a chicken, or a vegetarian. Okay. When you go to this restaurant on New Year's Eve, you have the full menu because they're only cooking small quantities anyway, so, they don't limit their menu on New Year's Eve is what I'm saying. And that's one of the reasons why for 5 years I went to the same place every New Year's Eve,
Yeah. It sounds like a great place. What was the name one more time?
It's a place called Dali, D-A-L-I.
Oh, Dolly. Yeah. See, when you first said it, I thought Dolly, like Dolly Parton.
Nope.
That's the American in me, because knowing it's an
Right.
ethnic, it's not going to be Dolly like that,
Right.
unless you're talking about a sheep that they're selling you or something. But
Right.
but all right, yeah, that's interesting. You just introduced me at least and to a new idea and concept there. I'm gonna have to look at restaurants that base like that.
I'm sure there've got to be some, at least in D.C. I know they have to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Is there? I mean, just so I'm fully understanding, because I'm really interested. Is that the term for it? Like, I look for a restaurant that says that term, meaning smaller dishes?
Yep. Right. In fact,
Okay.
you'll see it. Usually you'll see it on the sign. There's another one that's local right near my house. I was down there the other day. I actually ate there. It says right on their sign that's got the name of the restaurant, and it says Tapas Bar. That's what it says.
See. Okay. And how does that spell? Do you know?
Tapas.
Okay. Tapas. Right. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Thanks for that info, Deb. You just turned me and probably some audience onto that. Okay. Third one of the Curious Five. And this one, I have an idea just because I know another thing that you do is you do a radio show and play some great music on there, by the way, in which anybody can, if they'd like to listen, can find. You could look up, Deb Della Piana, of course, Facebook. She's got her links there. And in the show description, we'll have a link to her radio show as well. But that is in line with the third question with what's your favorite music or genre?
My favorite genre, I'm all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I like folk. I like rock and roll. So I'm all over the place. But my station basically, so it's a little funny story.
Mm-hmm.
So my sisters are all older than me. All right? One was 9 years older than me. My oldest sister, who is still with us, is 11 years older than me. So when I grew up listening to their music, right? So that means I was listening to Elvis, and Jerry Lee Lewis and all of that, right?
The birth of rock and roll.
Yeah, the birth of rock and roll. So all of a sudden I turned 10 years old and my mother buys me Meet the Beatles. And instantly I had my own music.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, I can remember I have a friend that's actually lives in Palm Springs. His name is George. He's actually here in Boston. He just texted me earlier today. We're going to go out Friday night. I can remember all my childhood just laying in the driveway in the summer and listening to the radio. And, we listened to the Beatles, the Grateful Dead, we listened to the Rolling Stones. That's all my stuff. But, as I started listening and started paying attention to people, most notably, I have to say, Tom Petty, I started realizing that all of my music was influenced by all of my sister's music.
Right.
That's where it, so now I listen to all of it. And that's what my radio station does. It focuses on that whole 60s time frame. But it also plays all of the people that influenced that music.
Right, I got you.
So I love all of that stuff. I love the Beatles, the Dead. I love Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. He saved my life in the 70s because I hated disco and I hated big hair bands and I hated arena rock. And, he kept my sanity for that decade. So
I see.
That's kind of where I am.
So you didn't have Staying Alive on loop or anything, huh?
Absolutely not. I do like the early Bee Gees, though.
Yeah.
I liked, the New York mining disaster, 1941, all their early stuff. We play that all on the radio.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, cool. I like some Bee Gees too, and I like Petty a lot too. I mean, I know it's obviously a commercialized song, but I Won't Back Down. That's like almost my theme song. I mean,
there's a guy who honestly, I don't think he's made a bad song. I really don't. I mean, if you're just into hits, right? Even his hits are great. Right. But if you actually delve into some of these guys, some of his stuff that, has never made it to the radio is spectacular. And I would encourage everybody to listen to my radio station because we play everybody's music like that. We don't just play the hits.
Right. Yeah. And I've listened to it some, and I have a general idea of you. I know you have good taste. So I'm sure it'd be good, interesting, music in general on there. And yeah, the hits, again, we're not going to go down that path right now, but what makes a hit, right? Something that's put out there and sold to you and drilled in your head. There's a ton more music out there that's good. That's, you never know what you're going to hear. It could be something that changes your life and you're like, wow, I'm glad I listened to this station,
But you know what? I'll tell you one thing that even people like Tom Petty and Linda Ronstadt acknowledge. When you give the record companies the hits that they're looking for, it allows you to become your own boss and to call some of your shots. And that's what they say. Linda Ronstadt said in the thing the other night, I never liked my hits, but the record company wanted hits. That's how we got to do the stuff we love to do.
Right.
So, that's kind of like the trade-off, I guess.
Yeah, it is. And, acknowledging or, knowing that the system is wrong and corrupt and those types of things doesn't mean you have to just say, I'm screwed, I'm just going to lose at it and not have anything, Right. I mean, and to understand that too, that, you unfortunately, like it or not, you got to have to play the game to some extent if you, especially if you're in that kind of position,
right.
Exactly. It allows you, it frees you up to do other things. The next one, number 4, very simple. It's almost elementary, but what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue? Like regular blue or light, dark?
All color blues. I'm a blue person. I love the color blue. The only color I really don't, gravitate towards on a blue level is navy blue. It's just a little too dark for me.
Yeah.
But blue is a big color for me. It always has been ever since I was a kid. Don't know why. Don't know what the attraction is, but people insist it's because I am, if you put stock in this stuff, from a horoscope perspective, I'm an Aquarian, and that's the water bearer. And according to some people, that's why I like blue, but I'm not sure that's why.
Right.
So,
that's stuff we would find out more in the future, again, if things were designed to really, work that way and learn about ourselves and things. We would find out much more rapidly, if possible, like with the brain scans and stuff, what causes people to think certain ways, and what makes you like something. Right. And another real quick, interesting thing about colors, I actually just thought of, but I say it a lot. I mentioned it in another show I did, but have you ever thought about, like, if your blue and my blue is different, but we both identify them as blue because that's what we've been told?
Exactly.
So like, you might see blue in a certain shade because your eyes pick it up that way, but your blue might look like my black,
Right. I'll tell you where you see a lot of that. I mix paint in my job.
There you go. Yeah.
I mix paint, right? When I tell people, people say to me, well, this almost looks blue. I said, well, that's because of the way the light's hitting it. But the fact of the matter is it does have a little bit of blue pigment in that paint, even though it is gray.
Right.
But it's going to look blue or gray depending upon where you put it in your home. If you have a room that's well lit, it's going to look more blue. If you don't, it's going to look gray. That's a perception thing,
right. Yeah, very true. That's a good point to associate with that.
Now, please, I say that, but let me just say this. Please don't come in with your drapes and expect me to match a color for you. I've had people bring in freaking things that you can't imagine and try to get me to sit there for hours picking out what pigment is in what color paint so that she can match it to her pillow. I said, listen to me. You're getting into this way too much. You either like the color or you don't. That's the way it's
So you're saying the carpet isn't going to always match the drapes, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's interesting. Now that you say that too about paint, you might know, isn't it, can't you like take a chip of paint and have them analyze it and get you the color very close to that?
Yeah, you can we actually have a machine where people can, like, if they don't know what color they painted their dining room 15 years ago, if they lost the can or whatever, They can, just cut a little piece off their wall, bring it in, we put it on a calibrating machine, and it comes up with the formula. Yes, you can do that. There you go,
see? And that's science. That's technology. See, those are the things that make life better, that make life more understanding, that make, yeah. I thought you could, but that's really cool, though, And obviously that's, to us, might be kind of confusing, but actually that's kind of simple science, knowing what we know now.
Right.
The chemicals don't change, the chemical compound makeup of the paint is the same. So you just have something that breaks it down and analyzes it. That's really cool, though. Right.
It basically analyzes what colors are in that paint. That's what it does. It picks up the pigments that you put in it. And it gives you everything by measurement. It gives you everything by measurement. So if it's a blue, it gives you, like, we call the thing we put the blue in B1, and it gives you B1, and it tells you 1.759. Wow. So, you have an exact formula. You type that into the machine, and then the color comes out. And we always do it when we hand it out. We always paint that piece that they gave us to measure the color by, and we dry it, and we show them, this is, as close a match as you're going to ever get to this. And so that's the way it works. It's almost every time we've done it, it's never been a problem.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's so great. I mean, I'm very much into science and space and technology. I'm really, the way I feel personally, I'm gone. Like, humans, they're fun, they're entertaining, and obviously I care enough to, do what I'm doing and that type of thing. But, I'm gone mentally. Like, I'm on another level like that. That kind of stuff is really what if I choose to watch something, it's a documentary, or it's science, or it's learning something, It's just, it's what interests me. I mean, and again, because to me, it's not opinion, it's facts.
Right.
Throw the disclaimer out there. There's a lot of opinions mixed in, but when you understand what to separate, there's a lot of facts, though. And and the last one of the Curious Five is, what is your natural fear?
My natural fear. Okay, so this is
a little juicy.
This is an odd one for me, because as much as I'm not a non-believer in the religious sense, I have to tell you, the one movie, because of, I have to say, everything I was taught when I was in Catholic school, I went to see The Exorcist. I have never been the same since. I don't give a shit. I can't even, I'm 66. I saw that on a bet. I was in school, and it was snowing really bad, and the movie had just come out 3 or 4 days before, right? So all these kids at schools dared me to go to see it by myself. They said, you have to go in there. I said, it's snowing out. Give me a break. They said, look, if you go in and see the movie, we'll put all our money together. We'll give you $100, but you have to bring the ticket back. Did I not drive into Boston in a snowstorm? I sat through that movie. I slept with my light on for like 3 years. I'm not shitting you. It was like, I can't even, I loved the book. I read the book. But for some reason, sitting in that theater and watching that and thinking to myself, you know what? What if that ever fucking happened? It was like, holy shit. And you know what? I don't actually even know if that's, I don't know how much of that is true. You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't really know, I'm just saying that listening to my family talk about the devil and everything else, that's a scary one for me, even though I'm not a big believer. Somebody says to me, you don't believe in God, but you believe in the devil. I said it was the movie that did that to me. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
But my natural fear, actually, the truth be known, is that I know I'm probably not going to see any of the change I'm working to, because I think it's going to take a long time. My natural fear is I'm going to do all this work and nothing's going to work out for people that I leave here. That's the big fear I have, And I know that for me, logically, I can't worry about that. I just need to go forward,
Well, yeah, it's understandable. Especially like, in your case, you have loved ones that you created. You know, they're a part of you. And I get that. It's kind of like I tell people, I mean, look, I do everything that I do. I speak out. If you knew me like in a personal life, I mean, I don't just do this for the show, you know? And I believe me,
Right.
I try not to, because anything, like I said, nobody wants to be beat over the head. You know, nobody wants to be listen to this and all this kind of shit. But it's all I know. It's who I am. And it's, you know, and I just think sometimes, and I tell people, I'm this way and I'm doing everything I can, and I don't even have kids, you know? So people with kids, it's like I put in the introduction that I wrote to this show. You know, obviously anybody could listen to it or whatever. It's essentially the general premise of what the show is. It's kind of my overall thoughts and perspective and whatnot. But one of the lines that I said was something along the line of to not question like the monetary system and the I'm drawing blanks, but like the entities, like the structures, the religion, the law, you know, to not question these things and simply accept them means you're accepting living your entire life and those that you care about under rules, laws, and systems that someone else created with their interest in mind, you know. But I threw that in there because as I was writing it, I thought that, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I mean, I care for me, and I care because I feel a oneness with everybody on the planet. I do. I am that person. I'm extremely empathetic. But yeah, if I had kids, shit, I would be tenfold, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So I get that. I really get that. So, but you don't, do you have any other natural fears like heights or anything like that?
Oh yeah, that would be one. Right
Is
there.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I did go to the Eiffel Tower a long time ago. I have to tell you how woozy I got. And you can't, you know, it's got rail. You can't fall off that thing. You'd have to really work at it. But I looked down. I thought I was going to pass out. I was all the way at the top, and I looked down, and I thought I was literally going to pass out. I said, holy mackerel. You know, it was, and it was windy. But I even have that problem, like, at work, when I have to climb up a ladder. That's a big thing for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, you know what? I think it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. You know what I mean? I think when I was young, I didn't worry about it. But when you're old, and I actually have fallen, not off a ladder, but I did fall. I used to deliver newspapers at night to make extra money. And I did fall in the winter delivering papers, and I actually had to stop delivering because they actually thought I broke my kneecap. I really didn't. But the doctor said to me, you didn't break your kneecap, it just looks like you broke it. He goes, but I have to tell you this, your newspaper days should be over. So now when I even get up on a ladder, I think to myself, am I going to fall off this damn thing? And then when people start calling me down off the ladder to do something, I go, just leave me alone till I'm done up here because you're making me nervous.
I'm not coming back up this time.
You know? I'm not coming out. I'm not going up again, so just leave me here until I'm finished.
Yeah.
So, yeah, height would be number one for me, I think. That would definitely be my one natural.
Yes, I have a natural fear of that too. In fact, this was years ago. My family, my relatives, my sister and her kids, they went on like a cross-country trip, basically, took train, everything. I would have liked to have gone, but my nephew periodically was sending me pictures, and he sent me one. I hate name dropping, but I think it was the big Sears Tower or something. It was one of those types of things. I think it was in Chicago they were in, but basically it had a glass floor where he was standing. And so, yeah, he took the picture like straight down, and all you could see in the picture was his feet and the glass. And so I just responded and said, if I would have took that picture, there would have been turds by my feet. You know,
I know, seriously.
Yeah, I just lock up when it comes to heights and stuff like that.
And I'll tell you something, somewhere there's a bridge that's glass like that. Is it China?
Well,
I forget where I saw it. I said I would never go on that. That's never happening. That would never happen.
Yeah, that is, to my knowledge, other places may have them, but China did that last however many, I don't know, honestly, 5, 10, whatever. But they had a big thing where they were kind of doing that and architecting that and like clear bridges and those types of things. And yeah,
Yeah, that's not happening. That is not happening. No way.
No way, right?
Yeah, Nothing could. And I'm the same way with, like, even going on rides. You know, when you go to, like, we used to take the kids to amusement parks, and I'd look at the stuff that were going on, and I'd go, oh, hell no. Don't even ask me. I'm not going. I'm going to go over there and get myself a drink and sit here and watch you guys scream, because I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you know, like you talking about how you've changed kind of with the heights, or you think it's gotten worse or whatever. I've been that way with like roller coasters. When I was younger, I didn't like them. In fact, they're here in a big park here. They had one called the Scooby-Doo roller coaster. And it was, you know, for me, it was kind of fast. But even as I got older, I'm like, that's as much as I'm doing it. You know, it's got a little speed. It's got a little hey, and that was good. But then I hit a point, strangely, like, I don't know, mid-20s, late 20s something, where I was really into them. And I couldn't get enough. And I was like going on the main ones that was like throwing your heart around and shit like that. And then now I'm back to that. I didn't go to an amusement park for years. I went, I don't know, 5-10 years ago maybe. And I went on one and I was sick the rest of the fucking day. I mean, so yeah, some things just change like that, you know?
You know, I went on this boat. I have to say, 2 years ago, I went on this Old Orchard Beach in Maine. They have this pirate ship. Have you ever seen that ride?
No. Oh, the one that kind of...
It swings back and
like
forth.
Pendulums.
Swings back and forth. Right. But when you go up, you really go up. You look straight down, and then it goes down. Well, I went on this with my partner and 3 of our kids. I look over, and my son is about to throw up. I said to her, if he pukes on me, you're a dead woman. I'm just letting you know that. Finally, the thing stopped and we got off, and he sat down and he was fine. But he looks up and he goes, I won't forget that you took me on that ride. I said, I won't forget that she took me on that ride either. That was horrifying, that ride. I couldn't wait for that ride to end. So I did that to my son because he really did want to try it, but he wouldn't go on it without me. So I said, okay, I'll bite this time.
Well, it's funny because the little story I was going to mention was kind of the opposite. I went on a ride because my mom wanted to ride it, and I tried to man up, and I found out on the ride I wasn't man enough yet, but it was too late, and it was called the Octopus, and it was like, it looked like an octopus, and individual cars would spin also. And I just remember that shit started, and I started yelling, get me off, get me off. And I got in the little car, like in the damn floorboard, like you couldn't even see me. And it was horrible. It was horrible.
Right.
And then I actually rode a ride called the Shockwave, and it was the first one in this area, at least, in the same big amusement park that had the Scooby-Doo, by the way, where you stand up. And up to that point, it was just sit-downs. But the only thing you had like a bicycle type seat that came up in your crotch. And it was just like a spring. And then you just had the 2 things that closed around like your arms and your shoulders. And I wasn't strapped in right. I mean, I literally was not strapped in right. And my damn legs were flying off the side. And I almost died. And so my dad, to compensate, he bought me a damn shirt that said, I survived the shockwave. But yeah, I mean, my life was in danger. It was not a joke. Have you ever seen any of those videos? You know the slingshot ride?
Uh-huh. I have indeed.
Have you seen any of those videos? They're hilarious, aren't they?
They are. They really are. The ride I hated was the Roundup. Did you ever get on that one?
Not by name, but what is it kind of?
You stand up in it. You don't actually sit down. You stand up and you're strapped in, and you spin around. Do you know what the biggest fear I had was? Somebody was going to puke on me, because that's exactly what happened every single time I went on that damn thing. You know, that's disgusting when you're at an amusement park and you have no clothes with you, you know? So finally, I went on that. It happened to me twice on that ride. Finally, when I went the 3rd time with somebody, they said, let's go on the Roundup. I said, no, you go on the Roundup. I'm good. I'm done with that ride for a while.
Yeah. Well, the similar ride that I'm familiar with, they called the Time Shaft. But it was the same thing. It was just a circle. Everybody put their backs against the wall. It would start spinning so fast, your centrifugal force would hold you, and then the ground would slowly go down, you know. And
Right.
shit made me sick too. I mean, I didn't puke, but
Yeah. Well, I didn't either, but somebody did. It was all over the place. I said, wow.
it's been really great talking with you, Deb. I hope everybody's enjoyed the show and really gotten some stuff out of it, because ultimately that's what it's about. I mean, 100%, wholeheartedly, that's how I feel. And I'm sure you do too with your videos on YouTube. The radio show, of course, is for enjoyment, and we all need that. You can't be serious all the time, and
Right. So what I am doing, though, just so you guys
Yes.
know, we do have a capability for on-demand content. We're going to be putting a lot of political stuff there so that people can actually go to the radio station. And by the way, everything is free. Nobody pays for anything.
okay.
You don't need to fill out forms to get on it. You just need to pull up a tab on your computer
okay.
and listen for free. But there's a place where it streams, and then there's a box down there that says on-demand content. We're going to have a lot of political content in there, a lot of audio.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you put things there that people can actually go search for instead of just like tuning into the tunes that are playing.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, you can. Right now we have some speeches from Chris Hedges and stuff like that, but we're going to start putting in some of our own stuff as well.
That's great. So when you
right,
go to what is the website that's on?
Okay, so it's on www.tinyurl. We shortened
Okay.
it. So it's tinyurl.com. And then there's a backward slash, and it's just all one word, Become Ungovernable Radio.
Okay. So www.tinyurl.com
Yep,
forward, or is it forward or backward? You said backward, right?
it's forward.
Okay, / Become Ungovernable Radio, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. And so people know, when you said about the on demand, you're getting there. You don't have it yet, that feature?
I have some in there. We do have some there. There's a box that says on demand. There's one that says stream, and it's very obvious. You can click on it to hear the
Okay.
music. And then right to the right of that, and a little further down, there's a box that says on demand content. So we're going to be filling that up a little bit more than what we have there. But there's some stuff there right now.
Okay, yeah, great. Well, options are always nice, right? I mean,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
That's great.
And eventually, once we get, once we settle down a little bit, we're going to actually have live radio as well. We can switch back and forth. I'm a one-man band on the radio station. It's on a separate computer, and it's in my room with me. So I'm the one that's running that show. So that it's just taken me a little while to get there. But we eventually want to have, some calling and some talk as well.
Yeah, I got you. That's nice. Who doesn't like a good radio station? That's something, I know I enjoyed tremendously. And of course, back then there was no internet, but growing up.
Right. But the great thing about this is, you know what? You don't have to pay for it. It's
Right.
free, and there's no commercial advertising. It's all just music. Every once in a while I put in a station ID, and that's it.
Right. Well, that's to be expected, and,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. That's great. I hope people check it out, because, like I said, I know you have good taste, in general, but with the music as well. And
Well, I just hate to tell you this, but the Europeans, they're all over this radio station. We need to get some people from the United States there.
oh, really?
I got listeners from Macedonia on my radio station right now.
Wow, that's really cool, though.
Yep, it is.
Some of these other cultures of music, that's something that like I said, variety interests me. The different foods, the different music. I had to research some Kurds music. Kurds, it's hard to say, but
Right.
because the another guy I had on the show, that's where his birthplace was Kyrgyzstan, Central Asia. So I was pulling some music for the intro and outro to incorporate obviously with him. And yeah, it's interesting. I mean, some of the tunes and things that they play and sounds that they make, and yeah, it's that's what makes the world go around again. If everybody was the same and listened to the same, shit would be boring and plain as hell.
Right. And just so you know, for February, we are planning the week of Fat Tuesday, which is Mardi Gras week. We're playing, a lot of Dr. John, and
oh, yeah, he's great.
a lot of Fats Domino. We're going to play Cajun Zydeco music, so it's going to be like a week-long kind of thing off and on. So,
that's great, yeah. So I like all those artists you just said. Fats Domino, again, he was, an innovator.
He sure was.
One of the pioneers of change in music and uniqueness and those types of things. So definitely have to respect and appreciate people like that.
I do agree.
Well, again, Deb, it's been great. I really, truly hope, people have gotten stuff from this. That's what it's all about, honestly. I'm sure for you, and I can speak for myself, the only reason I would want followers and likes and things of that nature is to know people are getting it and it's reaching people and those types of things. So that's really what this is all about.
Right.
And I hope people have learned some stuff. Welcome any and all feedback of any kind. And before we go, we will definitely right now cover again the really important factors here. We touched on the radio just now. Can you just stop using that word? As soon as you get caught on a word, keep saying right. Touched on, and kind of sounds inappropriate after a while. But we'll go over here again the important thing here, and that is become ungovernable. What's your website you'd like to direct people to with that to find out the information?
All right. So for the Ungovernables 2020 event, it is becomeungovernable.info.
.info, becomeungovernable.info. That's for all the information pertaining to the event coming up in October, basically.
Right. And right now it's as much detail as we have, but we are going to be be more specific about it as we move towards the date.
You'll update it as you go and nail down specifics, of course. Okay.
Right. And then you got the radio station link.
Mm-hmm.
Revolutionary Radar is just revolutionaryradar.com.
Okay.
And our general, just general information is becomeungovernable.net.
Okay. Yeah. I believe that's the one. I've been on more than one, but I think that's the main one that I was looking at and looking through. And you or whoever's worked on it has done a good job of laying everything out. And
that's me. I do them all because we don't have the money to pay anybody for it. So I'm the webmaster too. But we have a few sites. We have one that's becomeungovernable.org, and that is where we're trying to get people to participate in strikes and boycotts. Dump Amazon, get people to convert to buying local. Right. We're trying to do this on multiple levels is what we're trying to do.
Of course, yeah.
And that's another thing I don't think people understand is the power of their wallet. I can't emphasize enough that once you start making somebody's profits drop, I promise you will have their attention.
That's true, Deb, yes. Yeah, I've, again, even though it might be in the scheme of things seemingly small to some people, but it is something you can do. And one of the ways I've tried to say that is essentially when every dollar you spend, you're kind of, in a way, writing a little note with that and saying, this is what I'm willing to buy, or this is what I'm willing to pay for. But exactly, that's one way, even if it's seemingly small, that you can make a difference and you can have influence to some degree.
Yeah. Like I bought everything. We lived with kids who literally would bring us Christmas lists with the Amazon number right next to it. So we could just go online and order it off Amazon. So when I hear people say, well, I don't have anywhere else to buy the stuff, I literally went from buying everything on Amazon to buying absolutely nothing on Amazon, you know? And I'll tell you how insidious they are. So let me tell you a little story before we break. I had to buy a power supply for my son's computer because I changed his graphics card for him for Christmas. Got him a better one. So, of course, the guy who's putting in my son's stuff sends me the link to Amazon because that's everybody's first instinct is just send him to Amazon to get it, right? So I, of course, go elsewhere. and I find an independent place and I order this power supply, and I actually paid $20 less than I did on Amazon. But here's the rub. It was supposed to be here Friday of this week. It's in my lobby on Monday in an Amazon box. They're even listing themselves as independent.
Right.
I sent the thing back. I literally said, don't even open that. I know what's in there.
Right.
And I brought it right back, and I said, I'm not accepting this. So I actually found another place to get it. I still paid $15 less, and I ordered it over the phone, so I was sure that it wasn't Amazon. But beware, because they're even misrepresenting themselves out there, and that's a scary thing.
Oh, it is, and it kind of ties back to the deceptive marketing, right? I mean, that's the point. As long as we're in a capitalist, profit-based monetary system, there's no limit on what people will do to make profit. If it's destroy the environment or poison people or poison crops or sell under a different name or deceive or, misrepresent. And, speaking of Scamazon, I've thought of that before, that, capitalists, that's one of the rules to make money. You mercilessly exploit the working class and those types of things. But if you think of Scamazon, really, what was their claim to fame? I mean, granted, yes, they may have made a good website and those types of things, blah, blah, blah. But really what got them, people to take foothold in them, was the people making the reviews, right? I mean, that's what made them stand apart, was because people would go to Amazon because if I'm looking up, anything, a shoe, a type of phone. Yeah, I can look at these different websites that have 5 reviews, but if I go to Amazon, it's got 1,000 reviews. And then you can judge. So see, again, I just point this out. The technology is good. These types of things will be the way of the future. You will have something like Amazon, just in the sense of people putting feedback on a product or something of that nature, because then you can get real consensus and real what works, what doesn't, things like that. But in this system, see, instead of it being the future system, and you say, yeah, that's great because now we're getting a better, more streamlined, more efficient product that people want. But now what you have is they have owned that and they've capitalized on that. So they are using that as a catalyst to make money. But none of the people, and of course they got hip to this. They probably knew early on, but that's why they have, and I don't even know this much about it, but I know that they have like rewards programs where people would review enough or whatever, they'll send them a free product to review and those types of things. Right. Because again, you're not, the reality is, as much as you don't like somebody or they might be evil or greedy, you're not fucking stupid. There's a difference there. And these people aren't stupid. And Bezos, as well as I'm sure his crew, understands this. This is their claim to fame. It's the people that do it,
Right. It is. It is indeed. So thank you. This was actually excellent. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that, Deb. I was going to ask for, your thoughts or what how you feel about it. And
yeah. I love it. I think it was a great interview. I really enjoyed myself actually having the interview. It was great.
That's nice. I'm really glad to hear that, because, again, that's what it's about. We're trying to get a message and reach people and whatnot. But I'm really glad to hear you enjoyed yourself.
I did, and I'm really appreciative of you giving me the opportunity to be on here, too, because the more we can get visibility, the more successful we're going to be.
Exactly. Well, you're more than welcome. And I will have people on here that I disagree with and I don't believe them or even like them. I mean, this is what I said to another guest. We were talking about, having similar mindsets or whatever. And I said, yeah, but I'm glad of that. But I'm actually looking forward in a way to having those types of people so I can debate and I can say, well, why do you choose that stance or why do you feel that way? To kind of expose the other side, so to speak. But ultimately, again, that's what I'm mainly going to have is people with true knowledge who really understand the real problem. Honestly, in my personal life, I don't deal with many people. And if I deal with
Me
you,
neither.
and if I deal with you, there's a reason. I'm choosing to deal with you. I'm not accepting to deal with you, except in the workplace, which we all do. So by you being on here, that's what that says. I totally agree with you, your stance, your thinking, and I wholeheartedly applaud what you're doing and the movement that you're creating. It's great. There's definitely not enough of it, especially going in the right direction. And I really feel that you're doing that. So I appreciate you being on the show, giving, my listeners as well as yours some more insight and what we're trying to do here. So it's been great on my end too, Deb. And I really appreciate you taking so much of your time to be with us.
Not a problem. All right. Good talking to you too. And I will see you in Washington, no doubt,
Yes,
right?
you will. Yes.
All right. I'm going to send out, by the way, I am going to send out some literature to you tomorrow. I just didn't get there today, but I'll get some stuff out to you tomorrow.
Sure. No problem, Deb.
Sounds good.
So, all right, Deb. Well, thanks again for all your time and insight and being real. That's what this show is about. Again, it's titled All Real, and there's a reason for it. And you've
Right.
been very real, and I appreciate that, and I hope the audience does as well.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, you're welcome, Deb. Take care, and we'll be talking soon.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, Deb. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope you all enjoyed the show. Join me next week when my guest will be Steve Saylor. He's a lifelong musician and video producer who's running for president. Sort of. Under the Money Free Party. The videos are very spirited and educational, and we'll discuss them and much more. As always, I want to thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you got something out of it. That's what this is all about for me, trying to inform, educate, and inspire people. The sooner people realize the veil of lies we've bought into, and that we already possess all the knowledge and technology we need for sustainability and abundance for everyone, the sooner the transition can start. Please feel free to email, follow, share, comment, like, subscribe. I welcome any and all feedback or support. And I hope you'll tune in next time for another episode of the All Real.